name is Kimomi Alinda. I'm the Executive Director at Uganda Free Zones Authority.
Good morning, Chair and Honorable Members. My name is Rebecca Nalumu Wamono. I'm the Manager Business Development and Investor Support, Uganda Free Zones Authority.
Good morning, members. My name is Samuel Kasule. I'm the Director of Finance and Administration Officer.
Sorry, today is we have an election going on, and I'm managing both here and there. Nonetheless, my name is Musasas Henry. I'm the chairperson of the Committee on Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and also Member of Parliament, Rwanda, County East. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you, ED. I'm sure this is your first time to appear before the Finance Committee. And in the same regard, I want to congratulate Free Zones upon the process you are taking to become a vote. You have been appearing as a subvention under vote 008, and now I'm made to understand that from 1st July onwards, you will be an independent vote. You are here for one purpose of making the committee appreciate the journey you have taken for the last 1 year and a half, and where you intend to be in the coming financial year, and also the physical performance. We have taken some time without meeting with the Free Zones, for mainly because we have been out for campaign, and we took about a year or so without focusing more on what the entities are doing. But I want to inform you that as an agency under Ministry of Finance, this is your gateway to Parliament. You have a responsibility to report to this committee as and when the committee wishes to interact with you on your progress as an agency under Ministry of Finance. Therefore, we look forward to cooperating with you in a number of ways. I think in your team you have people who are conversant with how we have been working. Maybe after the COVID, you will make some arrangements to interact with the committee more so that they appreciate you as an organization and also appreciate you in terms of your outputs and other things. I think at this point I want to give you an opportunity to make your presentation, and then the members will ask you questions for clarification. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman and Honorable members. We are glad to be here. As the Chairman has said, it's the first time. I hope we have a very nice interaction. Yes, Chairman, again, thank you for your kind congratulatory words. Yes, we have got information, like the information you have. We are becoming a vote, and to us, that is a big milestone, because then that will give us more leverage to be able to implement our mandate. Honorable Chairman and members, this brief is quite big. I'll try to summarize it a bit, highlighting the key areas and maybe just skipping some in the interest of time. This is the performance report for the financial year 2019-20, half year 2020-2021, and priorities for the financial year 2021-2022. Honorable Chairman and members, the Uganda Free Zones Authority was established under the Free Zones Act 2014, so we're a fairly new institution, and our purpose is to manage, market, maintain, supervise, and control free zones in Uganda. Free zones are among the export promotion and development schemes earmarked by the National Development Plan 3 to address the growing trade deficit, unemployment, and other social ills that are required to be addressed and need industrialization. Free zones include export processing zones and also free ports, because our law is subject to the East African Customs Management Act, which also highlights those other two schemes. Free zones contribute to the achievement of the NDP3 objectives, and these are enhancing value addition in key growth opportunities, strengthening the private sector capacity to drive growth and create jobs, and consolidating and increasing the stock and quality of productive infrastructure. Honorable Chairman, as you may be aware, we are in a private sector-led economy, but we cannot leave everything to the private sector because of their limitations in terms of capacity and scale. And that's why government is coming in to promote production for export. These schemes have been around for quite some time. Our neighbors have, in Kenya, there is the Export Processing Zones Authority, started in 1990. So we are late by quite a number of years, but nonetheless we'll catch up, Honorable Chairman. OFUSA will specifically contribute to 7 programs of the NDP3, and these are, of course, Chairman, as you may be aware, as you are aware, we are moving away from the sector-based approach to program-based approach. So OFUSA will be engaged in these 7 programs under the program approach: agro-industrialization, mineral development, sustainable development of petroleum resources, private sector development, manufacturing, sustainable energy development, and sustainable urbanization and housing. major intervention by OFUSA in the above programs is the construction of customized industrial infrastructure and production facilities to attract export-led manufacturing and agro-based industrial activities. This is in addition to our mandate to supervise private free zones. So we license them and supervise them as per our mandate in the chapeau in the introduction. Honorable Chairman and members, the Authority Strategic Plan 2 has been developed to deliver the NDP 3. OFUSA will focus on 3 strategic priorities, and these are employment creation, program diversification and expansion of export markets to foster increased export earnings, promotion and retention of private sector investments in free zones to catalyze Uganda's industrialization strategy, and strengthening the legal governance and institutional framework of the authority, given that it's a new institution which is still building capacity. Our strategic plan to targets for the medium term are the following: creation of 500,000 employment opportunities, attract 150 private developers and operators in free zones, attract private capital investment worth $1 billion, contribute 10% to Uganda's export earnings.
What is the basis of this?
Sorry?
What is the basis of these targets? They are very good in speech, but are they realistic?
This is the strategic plan that we have developed based on the needs of the country. Now, the financing available to the institution will determine to what extent we can move towards realizing these objectives. But we have clear strategies, tactics and initiatives to realize these targets.
Okay, proceed.
And actually, Honorable Chairman, on number 4, I think we have made some good progress towards realizing that target already on the 10% contribution to export earnings. Honorable Chairman and members, we also intend to acquire land to develop public free zones. In the strategic plan 2, we are looking at developing 4 public free zones, and also internally as an institution we are looking at 75% level of efficiency in the governance and management of the authority. Budget performance for 2019-2020. Honorable Chairman, during the financial year of 2019-2020, our approved budget was 8.9 billion shillings, and by quarter 4 we had 7.9, so that reflected a budget release of 88%. Performance highlights for the financial year 2019-2020. During the financial year, 6 areas were declared as free zones. Honorable Chairman and members, maybe I need to explain this a little further. When an area is declared a free zone and gazetted as a free zone, it's a statutory process. That area,
yes,
What do you mean by the free zone for a common person? I'm coming to it for the first time. So I know you're going to say free zone, but I wanted to move with you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Honorable Chairman and Honorable Member, for the question. When an area is declared a free zone,
What is a free zone?
this is what I'm trying to define.
Before you declare, what she wants to. No. Yes.
It is an area free of taxes for purposes of promoting investment and export promotion. In brief. Yes, and this is what I want now to go into the detail of explanation. So if, for example, this room is declared a free zone, it means in terms of customs management purposes, it is no longer a territory of the Republic of Uganda for purposes of customs management. So goods coming into the free zone are tax exempt as long as they are for the development and production of goods and services that are going to be exported. Examples is we have the Dubai Free Port. We also have the Dubai. In Dubai they have so many free zones, but I'll use the example of the airport. The Dubai Airport, it has an authority, the Dubai International Airport Free Zone. Now, when you buy something, when a product comes into the airport, it doesn't pay taxes, and when you buy it and you are leaving the country, you also don't pay taxes. In most cases, if you buy in large quantities, at the exit, your tax refund is given back to you. So the idea is to ensure that we can lower the cost of production to be able to compete in the global market. Because export processing zones, free ports, their produce is not intended for the local market. That's why in our law, 80% of whatever is produced in a free zone must be exported to earn the country foreign exchange, to also encourage backward linkages. For example, if the farmers in Luero are producing a lot of pineapples and they are rotting during the peak season, we need to take a free zone in Luero so that these farmers can have a market absorbing their produce, and the free zone is linking those farmers to an export market somewhere, either in Europe or in Asia, something like that. So that's the model. Production for export. It can be a service because under free zones we also have logistics. Yes, we have logistics.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope I'm clear, Honorable Member. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So during the financial year 2019-2020, 6 areas were declared free zones, increasing the total number of free zones in the country to 22, although now the number has increased. The zones are engaged in horticulture, mineral processing, textile, garments, information and communications technology, external labor recruitment, and export services. All the free zones are single factories. Now they are small. The concept should enable us to create large expanses of free zones, export processing zones. I think the term free zones is a bit, where is a free zones, we can replace it with export processing zone, because it's one and the same thing. Export processing zone. So these are still small because the scheme has just started. But in Kenya and Ghana and even Rwanda, the size of land declared is quite big. In China, where they have now grown much bigger, they are declaring entire cities as free zones for purposes of export to earn foreign currency.
What is the difference between a free zone and an industrial park?
A free zone is an industrial establishment for export purposes only. And that's why there are incentives targeted towards these free zones to enable them produce at a lower cost so that they can compete in the global market with other countries which are producing at a cheaper cost. An industrial park is you can either export or sell on the local market. That is the difference. Here it is export-oriented investment. And the law is very clear. If you are going to get a license for a free zone and you produce goods and you do not export 80% of those goods, then you do not qualify to be a free zone. It's export manufacturing, export processing. Yes. To encourage more production for export. And of course, when we go into the economics of export manufacturing, but that's another topic, but the more you export, the more you benefit from the value chains, and the more you pump liquidity to the community which is involved in producing the raw materials that you are processing for onward linkage.
Why can't all this work be done under one agency? We find difficulty in explaining to Parliament why you need a free zone and an industrial park under different agencies.
Chair, some clarification, Chair.
Yes?
In regard to that, you are saying why can't it be done by one agency? I'm also posing this. We have export promotion. Is it board or authority? Board.
Board.
We have Uganda Investment Authority. It also deals in those
development of
industrial parks.
You have free zone is the development of free zone.
We have now Uganda Free Zone. Can you kindly get us some different, where you are different from those two?
Let me...
Can one agency do all of this?
Uganda Export Promotion Board, it's more for finding markets. It's more for marketing. Investment Authority is for general, what I would call general investment. But free zones world over, because Uganda is not operating in isolation. We are not an island from the global environment. This is a method of export promotion that enables creation of specific incentives, specific targeted incentives to enable us compete more in the global market. I want to emphasize, because if if Uganda Investment Authority is doing this, there are certain incentives that are available for all investors. Now, different countries have different overhead costs in terms of production costs. Now, special economic zones or free zones or export processing zones, we make it so cheap that we are able to compete. Because if for example, let me just give an example. If you have two roofings, you have one under Investment Authority, you have one under free zones. The incentives that the roofings under free zones will get are different from the incentives that the other one will get. Now, the other one may not be able to compete globally, and in the end you'll have Chinese companies out competing your products. That's why we accord this other one some incentives. However, Chairman, allow me to request one of my team members, Rebecca, to add more on that.
Yes, Honorable.
I just wanted to say that the ED is missing out on saying that free zones are tax-free. He said it. I'm sorry about that. So I think that is the biggest distinction.
Yes.
If they want to sell locally, they have to pay tax.
Yes.
If they export whatever they produce, they don't pay the taxes.
Yes.
But I also wanted to find out what happened to the free zone which was identified in Nakaseke, where 30 square miles were identified and people were chased away from that land. It's now 7 years and nothing is happening. And this was allocated to the tax. So I don't know. People are landless, and yet that big chunk of land is there and it's not being utilized.
And the chair.
Would you like to deal with that straight away?
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Member, and thank you, Honorable Chairman. Yes, the issue of Kaweweta. There was a group of investors called ASB. ASB were from Turkey. They came and wanted to do to create an export processing zone for livestock and other livestock products, and gradually move into manufacturing and agro-processing. And the arrangement was that they needed land to be able to bring in machinery and put the investment and start processing. So land was bought. That land was originally bought from, it used to be for East Mango growers. It was bought by the Minister of Defense. So at that time when they came, the land belonged to the Minister of Defense. So it is 18 square miles, 18 square miles of land. So His Excellency the President, in the process of looking for land, discovered that there's actually land. It was for the land in Kaweweta under Ministry of Defense. So arrangements within government were made, and that land was transferred from Ministry of Defense to Uganda Land Commission and processed into ASB's names. So the land was now available for investment to ASB. Now, ASB, it was later realized that they didn't have the required capital investment. Yes, they didn't invest, and the conditions were that you do your investment between 3 and 5 years. If you do not meet this requirement, then we take back our land as government. And because they didn't do that, I think the 5th year is coming to the end, I think this year from the time the title was made. So this land is still available for investment. It is land for, it's an export processing zone. If ASB went away, another will come. Actually, we are now in the process of sourcing for other investors to come and utilize that land for the purpose it was intended. It is an export processing zone.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I asked yesterday when we were meeting the Financial Intelligence Authority.
You did it.
How do you link up with that agency when you are identifying investors?
So this was a briefcase agency.
Thank you, Honorable Member and Honorable Chairman. ASB, by the time ASB came in, this institution had not yet been created. Sorry?
Inland Investment Authority by that time.
Yes, it was not yet created. We are about 5.5 years, 6 years. We are now putting in place mechanisms to safeguard ourselves against such occurrences if they ever...
So what are the mechanisms?
Linking up with the Financial Intelligence Authority, as well as doing due diligence from their home countries through our commercial attaches at the embassies.
I think the Financial Intelligence Agency might be more effective, because the other day we got our mission, we Italy, Dubai, confirming the investor in the specialized hospital. And when we went to Google, we discovered that the company they had identified was a merchant, was a furniture company.
Yes.
A furniture company. So I think our savior might be more on the financial intelligence rather than through
the commercial attaches in the embassies, because they have produced fake.
But Chair, I think also the other mistake that we also make, we tend to believe that the investors are those from outside Uganda. And normally when we are actually giving those incentives, we normally accord them to different skin colors as opposed to our colors. So we may have individuals or companies here that may actually be willing to do the same, but in most cases they are not welcomed as those from other countries are. So can't we really open up? Because you're talking about the embassies, that we have to go to the different embassies, but we may actually find it easier to accredit individuals and companies here if they can do the same works. So in most cases where land has been given away for investment, it is to those foreign companies or foreign individuals. Actually, who are some actually briefcase, like you had the other furniture company. So I don't know what response. Like we have Bubu under free zones. They have special emphasis for nationals if they are going to do the same undertaking.
And supplemented to that, do you have incentives, like for instance, funding the local companies through Uganda Development Bank, which has got somewhat concessional funding? I've seen Biyinzika here is in my area, but of course Biyinzika is already a big muscle. But if he was given more incentives, I'm sure he would go in for a much bigger investment, because I was there 2 weeks ago and I saw that he has already planted 300 acres of house of avocados and is in process of planting another 300. But of course he was also expressing problems with working capital and all that. Do you link can you link up with the funding agencies? Because one of the reasons why we are giving UDB a lot of money is to promote local investments. And since you are going into these big investments, have you considered modifying the policy to have some indigenization? Because in many countries they have got that percentage they allow for indigenization. If you have a local partner here, I think that the due diligence would be much easier to do, because the local partner would also have a special interest, rather than getting strangers speaking from Mars, speaking Chinese, and you don't attach them to anybody here.
Thank you, honorable members and chairman. What the honorable member is raising is actually contained in, so it's like we are preempting us, but it's okay, we can bring it up at this moment. We at Uganda Free Zones Authority recognize the huge amount of financial hemorrhage this country is facing as a result of having a disproportionate number of investors in terms of size being foreign. We recognize that because it's a liberalized economy, so they can take away 100% of their profits after taxes. So that's financial hemorrhage, money going out of the economy. Now, as free zones, again, when we go to the resources that we are looking for, we have developed a mechanism which we need to implement. We have realized that Ugandans generally, from our past experience, have phobia of machines. Ugandans fear machines. They think factories are for Asians. And like the honorable member said, color profiling, we think it is for, light-skinned white people. So we have a plan of working with the private sector foundation and Uganda Manufacturers Association and Kasita. Kasita has the largest number of what we call the compradors, the people who bring in containers, sell and go back, and they're exporting our money, and at the end of the day. Expose them to machines, especially in China. Canton Fair. It is a worthwhile investment. People think to have a machine which is probably a computerized grain milling machine producing 50 tons of grain per day is a miracle. No, these machines are there and they're actually very cheap. At about $200,000, $300,000, these machines can be got. And Ugandans are putting up apartment blocks with a very low rate of return. And a lot of capital is tied there, it's not producing, and we are going to borrow money from elsewhere. So these are some of the interventions that we want to undertake, Honorable, so that we indignize our industrialization. Two, on the issue of UDB providing financing to people like investors like Nzika. We are in very advanced stages of formalizing our relationship with the Uganda Development Bank through an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. That Memorandum of Understanding details how licensees of free zones will be able to access financing through UDB, and the kind of arrangement that is, allow me to use the not high-handed, to facilitate these investments. Because our focus is, we want to make sure that hard-working Ugandans producing tomatoes in Kasese, producing mangoes in Rakai, producing maize in Kiriandongo, producing pineapples in Luero are linked to the global value chain. That's our main thrust in this.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you talked about Ugandans fearing machines.
Yes.
They fear them because they don't know them. What are you doing to familiarize or to incentivize the Ugandans? Because I remember some years ago, I think around 2010, in Ministry of Finance, we had come up with a proposal of getting, I think before that, we wanted project proposals to be written by government to help these poor people who have got the money but don't have investment ideas. You remember that time when we are heading for the mortgage crunch? These people had a lot of money. They were investing in real estate, and the returns were low. And at that time, there were no customers. So we said, let's divert them into other projects. But when we met Kasita, I remember I'm the one who convened a meeting with Kasita. Kasita pleaded that they have no idea about these projects we are telling them to do. And they wanted government, maybe through private sector foundation or Uganda Manufacturers Association, to write project proposals, so that when they come, they have project proposals which they can pick up from the shelf and they go and implement. And this is done in many countries, especially China. In China, they don't have original ideas. The ideas they implement are government ideas. The projects they implement are government ideas. So until I think government takes some steps forward towards that, our people who have earned a lot of money and they are corporatized by force, but who may not be fully informed about the investment opportunities, that's one way of capturing their money. Because right now, in the advent of COVID, we are now going to have another crunch. Everybody is now buying land. Everybody is buying land. The prices for land is going up, and we already have a surplus. For instance, matoke, which we used to cost 25,000 on the market, is now going for 10,000 because there is oversupply. Everybody has gone in for matoke. Everybody has gone in for pineapples. So I think you, as the authority responsible for COVID, for exports, you need to find a way to come in. And right now we are suffering with a huge debt. Much of our budget is going for servicing debt, and this debt is serviced in dollars. And the hotel industry, hospitality industry, where we are earning dollars, has gone down. We don't know how long it is going to recover. So I think it's a high time you people help us to come up with innovations which can help us to solve some of our problems.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I just want to take you to page 30. Page 30 of this presentation.
Can we allow you make a presentation, then you respond to the issues after? If you can.
I'll respond when I reach there.
Yes.
As guided. Thank you very much for
Yes.
that guidance, Honorable Chairman.
Honorable Sozi, you are welcome.
But allow me to just respond to the issue of
Respond to her issue, then get back to
of our investment and of our production of agricultural produce. And then the prices go down, and then the farmers can't have enough money in their pocket, and there's a negative spiral effect, because then they don't have enough money to purchase water, and the taxman can't collect enough, and we end up borrowing and then paying a significant amount of money in debt servicing. There's no country that has ever transited from poverty to wealth, and there will never be one without industrialization. Unless we industrialize, we enable the matoke grower process, even if it is not manufacturing, process, certify, package, brand, and export. That's why we're building a production in the Entebbe International Airport, free zone, to enable some of these processes to go on. Because if we don't do that, we'll be in circles over some radius 100 years from today. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Page 5, 2.1.3, licensed free zones. During the financial year, we issued 6 developer licenses. FIMA hubs, they are listed. The actual capital investment of the developers at the time of licensing stood at 16 million US dollars. During the same year, because of COVID, because of lockdown, because of so many other things, we regressed on the number of jobs we created during that year. The table 2, planned investment for 2019-2020 was $2 billion. Most of these were actually nearly all of them were greenfield starting. That's why the actual investment is still small at $16 million. Planned jobs were 4,000, but because of the challenges that we experienced, only 99 jobs were created in these 6 greenfield investments. Although during the same year, the total jobs in the free zones were over 8,000 jobs. We shall see the details a little later. Projected exports. These are projected exports in 5 years from these investments. And the main driver here is Kimsam Investments. Kimsam Investments is in Ibuikwe. They are creating an industrial estate on 60 acres of land, so that operators can come in and process for export. That's why the projected number for exports is huge, 11 billion over a period of 3 years. We pray that COVID can go down and these projections materialize. Page 6, 2.1.4, implementation status of the free zones. By the end of the year 1920, 18 out of the 22 private free zones with developers' licenses were operational. 2 out of the 3 operators, the NILAS is a group of companies, were operational. Shri Modern Textile Limited, Anish Trading and Blockchain Technologies were under implementation, while Arua Special Economic Zone and Kimsam Investments had not commenced. Arua Special Economic Zone was constrained by financing and the road leading to their zone. The authority engaged the Arua Municipal Council. We engaged the Arua Municipal Council and other stakeholders like UNRA to consider upgrading the access road to the free zone. The developer held strategic discussions with the Uganda Development Bank to secure long-term financing. This is one of the reasons why we decided to enter to develop that MOU with Uganda Development Bank, because of the strategic partnerships that we want free zones to have with the bank. Kimsam was also affected by lack of financing. In financial year 2020-2021, officer will link the developer to UDB to explore possible synergies for long-term financing. Trade performance. Exports by value. The total export earnings in free zones recorded a 142% increase from $63 million recorded in 2018-19 to $154 million recorded in 2019-2020. Semi-processed gold exports accounted for 68% of the total export earnings. That's about $105 million, higher than flour exports, which accounted for 26%. Again, flours started getting a problem when COVID started hitting Western Europe, where most of our flours are exported. Wheat flour recorded 4.9 million, up 60% from 3 million registered in 2018-19. Sandalwood chips and oil recorded $300,000, an increase from $95,000 registered in 18-19. Processed tobacco leaf fell 75% to 3.3 million in financial year 1920 from 13 million recorded in that year. And of course this is largely due to the interventions of the World Health Organization campaign against tobacco production and consumption, and also the new law, it's called, I've forgotten the name of the law, on tobacco. There's a law against tobacco consumption in this country. It's a new law. It's called anti-tobacco. I've forgotten the name, but there is a law to that effect. Honorable Chairman, the positive performance in the gold export earnings mirrors the pattern for national exports, indicating a gradual transformation from coffee as Uganda's leading export earner to processed gold and other products. And figure 1 is portraying this image. Table 3 is the composition of exports and imports by free zones licensed by value. Total exports were 154 million US dollars. Imports were 120 million. Now, this gives a positive of about 34 million US dollars. But most of these imports are actually imports for the development phase of most of these free zones, export processing zones. So gradually, as we move forward, we will realize that the net gain will keep increasing from the current $34 million to a much higher figure. We renewed some licenses because these licenses expire and then we have to renew. Like I said, there must be strict compliance with the provisions of the law, and when they are complied with, we renew the licenses. Budget performance for financial year 2020-2021. The budget framework paper figure availed to Ufuza by Minister of Finance, 8.9 billion, as summarized below. The wage expenditure is 2.3 billion, non-wage 1.1 billion, and development 5.5 billion. The authority received a total of Uganda shillings 4.4 billion for the 2 quarters ending 31st December 2020. Uganda shillings 1.1 billion was spent on wage, while roughly 0.79 billion was spent on non-wage recurrent expenditures. Only 50 million was spent on development, leaving a balance of 2.5 billion not spent by the end of Q2 for the financial year 2020-2021. As you are aware, Honorable Chairman, we are undertaking a construction project at Entebbe, and so this money is going towards that project. It appears like a saving, it is just not yet disbursed, pending certificates and a few other preliminaries in that regard. Table 5, approved budget 8.9 billion, cash limits by end of Q2 4.4 billion, released Q2 4.4, representing 50% budget release at the end of Q2. We project to have 100% release at the end of Q4. So by the end of Q2 we had spent 1.9 billion. So the absorption is less because of the pending disbursement of this 2.5 billion pending the certificates that we received from the contractor. Table 6 is the medium-term expenditure framework projections for financial year 2021-2022. Honorable Chairman and members, we have made a strategic plan and we are projecting big figures for big investments. However, for financial year 2021-2022, according to the first budget call circular from Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, our resource envelope had not changed by the time the first budget call circular was released, and to the best of our knowledge, this is still the position on record. Budget performance in the half year, we we issued 2 developers licenses. Mahathi Infra is a logistics company, but also a distribution company. They are constructing a free port. What's the location? Yes, it's a free port, and they're also constructing ships, fuel tankers to ferry fuel from Kisumu to Wakiso at the free port, which is under construction. This is an investment of $167 million. Projected investment currently so far about $68 million has been invested in by Mahathi Infra Uganda Limited. Binzika avocado, the honorable member has just talked about it. It is in the Luero area. The investment is very interesting with agro processing for us. It's production and processing, certification, branding, packaging, and exportation of Hass avocado. So far, over 300 acres has been planted. So the free zone, the license helps them to avoid, let me call it avoid, it's not evasion, it's avoidance, taxes on inputs into that production process because it's a free zone. Table 7 represents the figures of what I've just talked about, Mahathi and Binzika. Planned investment, $168 million. Projected exports, $96 million. The interesting figures are around the Binzika. With a planned investment of $1.7 million, we are looking at creating 165 jobs and exporting $90 million worth of produce. Now that gives us the potential that is in agriculture and agro processing. The return on investment is quite high. Table 8 represents the licensed developers and operators by region to date. In the central we have 19. In eastern we have 6. Northern we have 1. Arua Special Economic Zone. It has not yet started operations because of the challenges that we talked about. And in western we have Pearl Flowers. This is in Intungamu. Yeah, this is in Intungamu, producing flowers for export. So we are looking at attracting even more. Performance of the free zones. The performance of the free zones indicates that the scheme has generated more investments, employment, and exports. The scheme has also improved skills and introduced new technology. The government interventions, which include the creation of an enabling macroeconomic environment, incentives, and infrastructure development, have proved the performance of the free zones. Now, free zones exports by value, during the total export earnings in free zones recorded 142% increase from $64 million in 2018-19 to 154 in 1920. In quarter 1 of 2020-2021, total exports from free zones stood at $314 million. The exports included cut flowers, wheat flour, processed gold, processed tobacco, and sandalwood essential oils, among others. After employment.